Hey, thanks again for joining us. We're here with Carving with Eric, and I wanted to talk to you today, especially if you're feeling frustrated. Frustrated at not moving forward. I want to show you some of the things I've done in the past and how just the simple idea of practicing goes a long way towards helping you improve. I hear a lot of carvers that just are frustrated with the pace of their carving and the pace of their progression. And you talk to them and it says, well, I only carve, on Tuesdays. I only get to carve on the weekends. I want to encourage you to find a way to carve a little bit every day. Here is the first cowboy bust that I've done. And I've done a lot of cowboy busts. I think I did like 60 or 70 in a year once. Anyway, here's the first one I did. And I belong to a carving club that has a lot of cowboy carvers in it, and this was one that I did. And I thought, in 2010 is when I did this one, and I thought, that's not bad. I can do eyes, I can do face, I can do whatever. But in reality, a friend of mine named Cleve looked at this and thought, that was pretty bad. And so he decided to show me how he carved, and I learned a lot from there. But if we were to sit here and dissect this thing and look at what's wrong, very flat face, square face. Eyes are chewed up pretty badly. I hope the camera is focusing in on that. But it's really bad. The hat doesn't fit the head. We've got mustache lines straight. We've got straight sideburns. We've got some ears that don't sit right on the head. We've got the back. I mean, I could sit here and critique this thing for the next 30 minutes, but in reality, from where I wanted to be, not saying if anybody carves this is bad. For where I wanted to be, this is not what I wanted. And so a friend of mine took me aside, Cleve, and he says, let me show you how I do it. Well, before then I had carved, this was back in 2010. Before then I had carved a couple more. Let me show you those. This one is marginally better than this one. Slightly. In terms of, look at that facial expression. Not a bad idea to have his, mouth wide open. But the eyes are still not very well done. The sideburns are still square. The ear is sitting way off the head, almost like it's glued on. It looks like a piece of clay sticking on there. Not a bad bandana, but the back of the hair isn't too bad. Sorry. But the hat looks bad. It's got some funky stuff going on. Ear stuck way out here. And I don't know how I got such glossy. I don't like glossy on my carvings, and I don't know how this one ended up glossy. Either the wrong can of spray or whatever, but I didn't like this one. This one again was in 2010 as well. I did another one a little bit later, and they're getting better. Still square. If you turn that up, you still see how square that face is. But the chin's better, the mustache is better, the nose is better, the eyes are carved in. Cleve took a ruler and smacked my hand when I told him I was painting eyes in on my earlier stuff, and I'll show you that a little bit later. But he said it would be better if you carved them in and then painted them. And he was right. Still square sideburn. The neck is a little bit better. The hat fits the head better this time. But if you look at it, I don't have the collar comes up here and just stops. I'm not sure why I didn't continue that all the way around there. Anyway, this one is a little bit better. I keep these old carvings because I want to show progression. Not many people have seen these carvings. You're getting a one-man show here. Not many people have seen these carvings because I don't show them very much. I'm embarrassed at them. But I keep them to let me know how far I've come. Here's another one, a little bit better. I've got a mouth on this one that looks a little bit better. Still square sideburns, still ears sticking out off the head, but those eyes are rounded. In one of my earlier videos, I talked about rounded eyes, rounded this way and rounded this way. It's that way on this one. And so I've got a better bandana on this one than I did on the other one. I've got a better neck, I've got a better hairline, I've got a better hat. But if you look at the hat and you go straight up, look how far away, let me turn that so you see that. Look how far away the inside of the crown of the hat is. And the head should come up here, the crown should come out here. Same way with this one, the head's way out here and the crown's moved in. So you got to watch that. You don't want a Laurel and Hardy look to your carving. But this one is marginally better than the other one. And about this time is when my friend showed me how to do it. And let me show you the first one of those. The first one I completed with Cleve, and going over to his shop and carving, was this one. I really like this guy. I don't think I'd ever sell this guy because everything about him is a whole lot better than what I was doing. Maybe you could argue about the bandana. Somebody told me once that cowboys don't have green bandanas. I don't know why. Never heard that, but other than that one time, I'd be interested in seeing what anybody else has to say about that, especially authentic cowboys. Anyway, the sideburn is still a little bit square. We still got some square corners here. And the ears don't look like they sit on the head anymore, or sit on the head. They sit in the head. They're in part of the head. Neck looks a little bit better. Hairline back here. Bandana looks a little bit better. Overall, hat, face, bandana, expression, details, 100% better than where I'd started. Round eyes, top and bottom, left and right. Better bandana, better hat, all around a better carving. That was the first one I did with Cleve. Here was the second one. Again, a little bit better. Still a little bit square in the head if you look at that. But a lot better in terms of where the eyes are placed. Could have been sunken a little bit deeper, but I've got nice lips on there. Ears are getting more into the head, getting a little less square here, getting a little better bandana, more hair on the upper part of or back of the head. And the hat fits the head itself. I mean, that looks like the face narrows here. You see that face narrowing here? So does the hat. So a much better carving than I had done before. Here's just a head. I need to find a bust for it. But here's just a head of one I've done. And this one's fair. Let me get these out of the way. They're kind of distracting. This is a fairly good head. I like it. Everything seems to fit. The eyes are in the right place. Nose is in the right spot. I don't have square lines on the sideburns. The ear sits down in the head. And as an experienced carver, and I think I did this 4 or 5 years ago, as an experienced carver, I could sit here and I could chew this apart in terms of what's wrong with it. But overall, in terms of progression, which is the point of this video, overall 100% better, light years better than what I did before. I like it. I love that hat. That's a really good hat. And in terms of a cowboy that you'd like to come across and buy a beard for, he's your fella. He'll sit and tell you all kinds of stories because he's just got a happy-go-lucky disposition. I like him. Started eventually doing figures, and you know, you move from one genre to the other, or one type of carving to the other, and you may be an expert in something and can't do something else as well. I got friends that do great bird carvings, and when I try to do them, they just don't look like birds as much as my friends do. So there is that, being able to carve something in one genre and transferring those skills, you feel like a beginner, a novice. Anyway, this is I think it's a Harold Inlow pattern, the Rufus. I think I've seen people call it. Again, this is the same year, 2010. I did a lot of carving that year. But you look at the size of this arm compared to the size of that arm, they're very skinny. And you look at where everything is, and this is just terrible. I'm almost embarrassed to show it, because whoever designed the carving, I didn't do it a very good service. I did terrible. And so as I did more figures, it didn't get any better for a while, because here's this wizard. Pretty bad in terms of what it looks like and what I wanted to look like. In terms of where I wanted to go with these things, this is not where I wanted to be. I had done some Boy Scout carving and neckerchiefs and bolo ties and walking sticks and thought I was pretty good at those, and everybody seemed to want them. But then when I started doing this kind of carving, I realized how much farther I needed to go. Some of these guys are just terrible. And here's this guy with fingers just cut off right here. Face is real kind of, it's just not. Again, I can pick it apart. The goal of this video is to show you how far you can come when you practice. That first year, I practiced and I practiced and I practiced, and I couldn't stop practicing. I retired as scoutmaster, and I wasn't going scouting once a week and then once a month to go camping. I was spending time doing this, and this is what I really wanted to do. I know some of these carvings don't show that, but these are where I started, and some of them are better and some of them are worse. This one isn't bad face, got a mustache. I painted on the eyes, and again, Cleve told me don't paint the eyes, but carve them in, and the ears chipped off, and it's just not a very good carving. But it's a good thing to look back on and reflect on, because about the moment you think I'm not any good, well, if I was still doing this 10 years later, you're right, I wouldn't be any good. Here's another one. Again, not a very good carving. I don't like these guys. I keep them hidden in a box in the garage. I don't bring them out much. In fact, you're getting to see them where some of my other friends have not seen them. But these things are, in terms of where I am now, these things are so far back in my past I don't want to go there. I do a lot of Santas as well. This Santa isn't bad, but Santa isn't really good because Santa doesn't have a flat face, and it's pretty square all the way around. And that's what I see in a lot of carvers. We want to take the carving, and before it's even rounded, before you've figured in the gross anatomy, as Harley Refsaw calls it, start adding details. Well, that's the last thing you're doing. The details are the last thing you're adding to a carving. So if you can remember that, you can remember how to improve your carving. I did a lot of Santa Christmas ornaments one year, and I want to show you some of those in terms of where I started and where I ended up. Here was one of the first ones I started with. Here's a real simple snowman. Here's another one, just a real simple face. And these things are so god-awful bad that I think these are the 2 of the 300 I have left. I had 300 that I did one year. These are 2 or 3 of the ones that I have. I don't have very many of them left. I've given them a lot of them away. My wife puts them out for sale for like $1 a piece just to get rid of them. Again, 2009, 2010, I wasn't carving very well and didn't have a whole lot of help. Didn't have a whole lot of instruction. I was part of the club, our local wood carving club, but wasn't doing as much carving as I wanted to. Fast forward 2 or 3 years, I think this one is 2014, and it's a whole lot better. I like this guy a whole lot better than I did the other ones. So let me shoo those out of the way. But here's what I also want to show. This is a no-see-em, doesn't have any eyes. When I turn it up like that, look how square it still is. Still is pretty square. You can't tell that just by looking at it, but you can if you turn it around. You start to see there's 2 flat sides there and 2 flat sides there, and it's really, really square. Although I like the Santa, you don't want square Santas. You want Santas to have a rounded face. So here's one. Here's an example of a rounded Santa. So here we are at 2019. So this is just recently. My Santa's got a whole lot better than they did. Here's one from 2018. Again, my Santas are a whole lot better than when I first started. My first year, I think I did a couple hundred, and they were in pretty bad shape. This looks a whole lot better. When I do a gift exchange at work, these are the ones that people really want to see. You might have seen some of I've got 2 articles in Woodcraft Illustrated, Wood Carving Illustrated, sorry, and I've done. The latest one I did was Article 88. So we're in Article 88, issue Fall 2019. If you get a chance to pick that one up and want to carve along with that, that's what we did. And so on page 85 is where I've got the fan bears. Customize a fan bear. I really like this article. I've done a lot of those, and people really enjoy them. And I thought, well, why not put them out there for everybody to carve? And so in that series, here's the 2 carvings that I did. Wood Carving Illustrated asked if I would do one for Ohio State and one for Penn State. So here's the Ohio State bear that you see in the article. It is silver, white, and red. Crimson, they may call it. Here's Penn State. It is blue and silver and blue and white. And I like those, but I didn't just jump forth and start doing those, because here's one I did, I don't even have it marked. Here's one I did several years ago and didn't finish because I didn't like where it was going. And I had to take some time to finish. So here's where it started. That was the fan bear. Not bad, honestly, not bad. But when I comparing to where I'm finished, where I got it done, the finish looks a whole lot better than the original prototype. Again, this one's probably 3 or 4 years ago, and this one was a year and a half, 2 years ago, 2018. You see the progression. You see how I got better. I can't stress that enough. For those of you that are griping about how slowly it's coming, it will come. The more you do, the faster it will come. You just have to be comfortable with being able to do that. You can't beat practice. The only way you can beat practice is practicing with a master, somebody who's better than you and who is willing to take the time to show you what you need to do. When you practice with that master, you get a whole lot better quicker. The learning curve is a lot steeper, meaning you get higher quicker. And when you do that, your carvings get a whole lot better. These are the results. I took my time getting there. but I like where I'm at now, and I like where I'm going. I'm doing YouTube videos, and I'm teaching in several places, and locally and regionally, and I like that, and I'm hoping to do more of that. I'm hoping to take my carving to different levels, and I'm hoping to be able to help. That's why I'm doing the videos, so that those of you that are still starting out where I was 10, 12 years ago, you're not getting discouraged, you're not quitting, you're continuing on. And that's the biggest lesson I want you to learn. Don't give up, don't quit, don't lose your confidence, because you are getting better. I watch you on Facebook. I've seen a lot of your carvings on our carving groups, and you're getting better. I'm extremely pleased to see that the more you practice, the better you get. That's the lesson I want you to learn from this one. So I'll see you around the carving table, and have a good time, and I'll talk to you next time.